All right, gang, let's dive right into it. Welcome to another edition of Webinar Wednesday, tips to grow your online community. It really is great to be with everyone here today. We're going to have a pretty quick webinar today. We don't have too much to cover because we did a webinar last week. Normally we're 2 weeks apart, but we're doing some back-to-back webinars this month. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. I am Jason there on the left, and we're lucky to be joined by Rick Martinez and David Rockland. Rick is one of the support specialists here at Brilliant Directories, and David has his hand in many different things. We call him a digital strategist, and he's responsible for all the magic behind all these webinars. So thank you so much, guys, for taking the time to join us today.
Hey, Jason, thank you for having me. Hello, everyone. Hopefully today's Rick Corner is useful for everyone.
Hey, everyone. Glad to be back with you for another Webinar Wednesday.
All right, great stuff. And if you haven't already done so, we always recommend joining our Facebook strategy group. You can go to brilliantdirectories.com/Facebook. It's a great way to continue the conversation in between webinars. If you have questions in between webinars or something comes to your mind, it's a really active group, lots of constructive and productive ideas in there. I'm active myself in there. I know David is, and a lot of the BD staff and teammates as well. And lots of great tips from both people who just started their website and also seasoned website owners with Brilliant Directories. So you can head on over to brilliantdirectories.com/Facebook and you can continue the conversations there. And for those of you joining us for the first time, welcome. Webinar Wednesday is a great venue and a great channel to talk about how to grow your membership website. You know, these days it's very easy to launch any type of website, but growing and cultivating a community does require some strategy, some knowledge, some care, some love, and some passion. And in Webinar Wednesdays, we've reserved this time to talk about strategies such as how to increase your website traffic, converting your visitors into free or paying members, how to collect email addresses with call to actions and other lead magnet and lead capture forms and strategies. And one of my favorites is also how to improve your website's navigation. I'm a strong and firm believer that a simple website design can actually lead to a happier website owner because it's decluttered, there's less to manage overall, but also a better user experience and also increased conversion rates because the actions you want people to take, the navigation to those actions are simplified. So if you have questions on any of these topics, please save them. We'll try to get to as many as we can today. And again, for those of you joining us for the first time, welcome. All right, and last week we had a slew of BD Lab updates. It was actually almost too much for this page here. Today we just have a few quality of life updates that we've pushed since the last week, so I'd like to share some of those with you today. The first one is being able to easily identify pending posts that require admin approval. Some of you may remember a few weeks ago we launched the new add-on, which was the advanced post moderation. And that gives you, the admin, the owner of the website, the ability to choose if when your members post things like coupons or events or their own member articles, if those posts will be published or if they require the admin's approval to moderate those. It's a nice feature, but there really wasn't a way to quickly identify posts that needed your approval, your attention to view. So let me show you real quick where you can see all the posts that are pending so you can quickly take action when you're logged into the admin area. So from the admin dashboard, you can head on over to your content tab, and over here you'll see manage posts. So these are all the posts that your members have published or pending publishing, or also the posts that you as the admin have published. And when there's pending posts, you'll now have this little indicator number here, which is the number of posts that require your admin approval. And what's also really nice here, at the top you'll have this banner and it says the following post types have posts that require approval. So we have 2 member articles in this example that require the admin to look at and decide if they want to approve it or delete it. We have 1 job listing, 1 classifieds, and it'll continue listing all the different types of posts that you have that are pending your approval and the count as well. So if we click over to member articles, we can see here 2 things have happened. So over here we do have this nice bar that you can filter things. Clicking these links here will pre-filter here. So it's filtering member articles and also pending approval. Now as the admin, I can then log in and edit it and view it, or I can view the live page. and see if I should officially approve it or not. And then I can take the appropriate bulk actions, publish, unpublish, or delete. So that's a nice little quality of life there for you. Just out of curiosity, if you guys want to raise your hands, is anyone using the advanced post moderation to moderate their members' posts and manually approve them? Oh, yep, Jeff raised it. Jeff, do you mind if I unmute your mic and you can kind of tell us how that's working for you here? How's it going, Jeff?
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, we moderate because we vet everything we post. We also moderate our leads as well to make sure there's no scams or anything that goes through to our clients.
Very good. Actually, a big advocate, since you brought it up, on moderating the leads. Of course, there's the automatic lead matching tool. So you check to make sure that it's a legitimate request. Do you call the leads at all to make sure the contact information is accurate as well, or do you just read the request to make sure they've seen it?
Read the request, and if there's anything that seems a little bit odd, we may ring them as well. We also, once we send the email on, we verify and send it on to the client or the member, we also ring the member and make sure they get the lead as well, because it could go into their junk or whatever.
I agree with you. I'm a big advocate for moderating the leads. When we were running Interior Design Pro and Find a Muralist, we would actually call every single lead and see if we could extract more information about the request, because the more legitimate the lead was and the more details we got, the higher probability there would be to sell that lead as a referral to the members in the database. And of course, they would be very happy because we've already done the due diligence to validate the lead, and the lead has a much higher value when that's the case. Another side note, since we're talking about leads, just real quick, if you are doing auto match, there are times when bad leads get slipped through the system. Maybe the phone number is incorrect or the email address is incorrect, and a member may opt to purchase that lead and whatnot. I would recommend making refunds or credits or something of that nature more fluid. If you give the members good experiences so they don't have much to fear or much to lose when a bad lead gets sent to them and they accept it or purchase it, they'll have more trust with your brand and your organization, because we have to think long-term with leads. You want your site to be a constant and long-term source of referrals for your members. And if you can provide them with delightful and trustworthy experiences, they'll stick around with you much longer. So good stuff there about leads. Something subtle we've done here in the BD Lab updates is there's a small improvement to the featured article slider. I'll kind of show you a quick before and after. It's a very subtle change here. This is actually the before, and I'll just point to a couple things that were there before. The title was repeated here where the caption is. The problem with that is if the title was long, it could cannibalize most of the image here, and we really don't want to cover that. Also, the read more button was relatively small and would sometimes get overlooked. So what we've done is the title's already in the sidebar here, so we're just focusing on a caption with slightly larger font size here. And also the read more button is a little more prominent. It has its own section on the right-hand side. So this kind of layout should get more clicks for those of you using the featured article slider. And then another small improvement is on mobile view with this. On mobile view, the caption would be overlaid on top of the image on mobile. You know, not the worst thing, but again, it can cannibalize the display of the image. And what we've done now in this view, the full image height will remain, and underneath it, the caption will be there, and we keep the read more button here, again, to hopefully elicit more the clicks and a better call to action for the article. So rather than just some text here, you don't really know if it's clickable or not. We maintain the read more button here now. So some small improvements there for those of you using the featured article slider. This one is a work in progress, but we're already breaking a lot of ground with this. You can now view all of a single member's activity in the admin area from one place. And let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. Let me back to the admin. And the best way for me to show you this, let me go to member reviews. Okay, so when you're viewing an individual member's account in the admin, basically have all their contact information in the first tab. We've added several tabs here So you can really manage everything for one member all in one area. I'm not going to go into each tab, but I'll just kind of give you a quick overview here. So you can see all their individual payments and transactions in this tab here. That's always been there, and their subscription. So you know if they're on a monthly recurring subscription or some kind of a plan like that. If you have the profile statistics, the analytics add-on, you can certainly see all their profile stats here also. This is highly useful if you're talking to a customer on the phone or through email and they might potentially be looking to cancel. That's really why the profile analytics exists, is you can show them, hopefully there's something substantial there, you can show them that they're getting clicks to their website and whatnot, but you can be on the phone talking to the customer and toggling between these tabs to kind of make your case for them to stay on as a member with you. Also, you can view the members' content in this tab, very similar to the managed posts we were looking at. So it's basically the same layout as when you go to content managed posts, but it's all the posts just for this member. So if you wanted to see everything, in this example, Stacy Smith has posted or published on the site, you can certainly come here and just view all of that real easily. The next thing is the activity log. So many of you, we all have the activity tracker. You can view all the members' individual activity records here. And then lastly are the member reviews. So if you just want to look at one member's reviews, this person just has one, but you can certainly come here and view all of their reviews and make any changes, edits, or delete the reviews if needed. So as I mentioned, these are just the first steps we're taking. We really want to make this page much better, more intuitive and interactive experience, but at least what we've done now is all the data for a member that's possible you can now view here with these tabs in the admin area for each member. So that should be pretty helpful there when managing individual members. And then lastly, a small one. A lot of you know we released digital products add-on a few months ago. It did not have a dedicated ability to stream those digital products on the homepage, but now you can go to your design settings, and just like you can stream coupons and events and choose to stream blog articles, now you can choose to stream digital products. All right, let's see if anyone has any questions on those updates. Do you have a comment, David, on one of those?
Yeah, I just wanted to share that at the end of every month, we do publish an extensive list of all of the bug fixes, updates, and new features that have been included in the software over that past month over on our blog. So I believe this past October, we pushed over 110 new updates, bug fixes, and new features. So if you ever want to check out the full extensive list, you can head on over into our blog, and these also display in the dashboard of the admin area as well.
Yeah, I thought it was a joke. I just kept scrolling and all these updates just kept being listed here. So yeah, I'll share this link. This is just what we published. Is this last month in October here, Dave?
Yep, that's all just from last month.
Awesome. I'm just going to post this update here. Yeah, the BD team's always super busy with small fixes, updates, and enhancements. And of course, in the webinars, we'll highlight some of the best ones for you with the BD lab updates. We don't have a tip of the week today, but I promise you guys we have an awesome Rick's Corner, and a lot of you have established websites, but I think this is good. This is a good refresher, both for people who have established websites and, of course, if you're getting your site started for the first time. And Rick, being in the support department, you see all sorts of questions coming through the ticket system, and I think this has been a pretty common question people ask is how to set up a default email address for their website, and then how do you log into that email address to manage the inbox and send emails from there, right?
You definitely nailed it. It's a very common thing, especially for websites that are starting out. So what we are going to show everyone are the proper steps that you need to follow in order to make sure that A, your default website is created, and B, that it's added on the appropriate field so that it works the way that it's supposed to. There are a few requirements in order to get this set up to work. The requirements being that your website needs to be on a live domain. The second requirement is super important. This will only work if you have updated the name servers of your domain to our name servers, all right? Which means that if you're using an A record or a C name, you're going to need to use a different email provider in order to accomplish a similar setup as what we're going to be showing everyone today.
So just to touch on that real quick, so for those of you who might be wondering what a live domain versus the staging domain that he mentioned, in your domain manager, everyone that starts with the Brilliant Directories website, you'll have a directoryup.com URL. You'll want to first connect your live domain name here. And then when you connect your live domain name, there are a couple methods, a name server method, there's an A record method, and there's also a CNAME record. This is basically if you want your emails to be managed through your Brilliant Directories admin area, you'll want to use the name server method. If you're using the A record method, in this case, then you'll set up your emails from your GoDaddy or Network Solutions or whoever else the domain registrar is for you. All right, Rick, so let's dive right into it here.
So let's go ahead and focus initially on creating the default website, right? And this is where some questions come up very commonly, in which people add their default website before creating the actual email address. So let's go ahead and create the email address first, which is the first item that we're going to be doing. On the back end of our Best Dog Groomers NYC website. So like we stated before, what we're going to be doing right now is creating this email account or email address. All right, so to get started, let's go ahead and navigate here to emails. We want to open up the option called email accounts. Once again, your website needs to be on a live domain, right? This won't work if you're using a stationary domain. All right, so what we have to do next is simply click this link here, this button here. It's going to take us to the cPanel, and it's going to open up the email accounts. All right. So if you have already created an email account, you're going to see this right here. In case you are starting from scratch, this is going to be blank. Basically, there's nothing going to be here. So what we're going to do now is create this this very useful new email account. You can do so clicking this button here. All right. So the domain is going to show up right next to where we're going to create this email account. That's why it's so important for the website to be on a live domain. So some recommendations at this point. Since this is going to be the general email for your website, then using a generic type of email will do the trick. So some examples of this could be admin@your-domain, info@your-domain, no reply at your domain, contact at, support at. Those generic type of email addresses work great for this purpose. So let's go ahead and, let's go with hello@doggroomernyc. For this example, I'm just going to use a very generic password. Just going to retype that in here.
It can also generate a password for you, right?
You can also generate a password. That's true. All right. What we can do next is either choose for the email address to be unlimited, which means that it can receive unlimited amount of messages. You can switch that to have a limit.
I think generally you can set this to unlimited. I don't think there's any harm doing that.
All right. Let's go ahead and generate the password, just because the one that I created was too generic. It wasn't strong enough. We're going to switch that to unlimited, and I'm just going to uncheck this little box here. It basically just sends you some like a welcome email with some client configuration instructions. But we're going to get to that part in just a second. The next step is going to be click create account. All right, the account hello@doggroomernyc has been created. Basically, what I'm going to do now is just click here. Okay, so just to recap, we have created a generic email account that's going to work as basically just a communication that gets sent out from your website. So the next step that we need to do is to ensure that we add this email address to the general settings of your site. The reason why we want to do that is because when we add it to the general settings of your website, that becomes the email address for your website. So let's go ahead and copy the email address that we created. Let's go ahead and jump back to the Brilliant Directories backend. What we want to do now is navigate to the settings, general settings section, and we're going to update the default website email to the new one that we just created. So let's go ahead and replace the sample ad with the new one that we created. And let's go ahead and move right here to the next field that we have, which basically states what's the email domain that you want to keep using for your website. In this case, it's going to be everything that's after the at symbol. So we're just going to copy that. I'm going to go ahead and place it right here. Okay, save those changes now.
Perfect. And I think it's important to know that default website email address, that's basically the fallback email address that gets sent, for example, when members receive their welcome emails after signing up, when automated lead emails go out. Essentially, any automated emails that your website's going to be sending to recipients, it's going to use this default website email address. And that's kind of why we recommend using something generic that can just represent, general support or activity from your website. Just to recap what Rick was saying, here are just like 5 or 6 examples of some generic ones that we like. Maybe you have your own, but you can use hello, info, no reply, contact, support at, or admin at. Those are just some very common ones that you could and should use for the default website email address.
All right, so we have already created the email account. We have successfully added this email account to the general settings. The next logical step is to access the inbox and view all my correspondence. All right, so one way to do it, I'm actually going to show you 2 ways. I'm going to show you the first one. I don't want to confuse anyone, but we're going to start basically from the same place that we started before. So if I go to emails and if I go to email accounts, I'm also going to click where it says add email address. But again, I don't want to confuse anyone. What I'm going to be showing you at this point is how to access the email account that we just created. Just go ahead and click on that button, add email addresses. All right, so when you have, again, created the email account, you're going to see the email account here. And the option that we're looking for is this one called Access Webmail. Webmail basically gives you the option to choose 3 different clients that you can use to check your inbox. I'm going to go ahead and click Access Webmail here real quick. Those 3 options are Hordy, Roundcube, and Squirrel Mail. So you can go ahead and choose which you want to use, right, by default. I'm just going to go ahead and set this one as the default one, and I'm going to go ahead and access it just by clicking on the icon. So there you go. As you can see here, I'm in the inbox for hello@doggroomernyc.com. Okay, perfect. So that's going to be one way in which you can go ahead and check what's happening in your inbox, right? So it does require some steps. You need to go to emails, email accounts, add an email address, and then just choose the Access Webmail option that we have there.
And just to note, that's a super admin way. Like if you're the owner of the site, you can then quickly log into anyone's, any of your staff's inboxes there with one click. And then also, now that you're logged into here, you can both view inbox emails and you can also compose emails from here.
The second method that I'm going to show everyone how you can access webmail. I just moved over to the backend of Brilliant Directories. I click here where it says visit website. So I would say a shortcut in order to access your webmail accounts, it's going to be by going to your domain/webmail. And there you go. What this will allow you to do is to use the email address that we created, hello@doggroomernyc.com. I didn't learn the password myself. It's a very strong password. I kind of forgot it. I'm sorry about that. So basically just add the password right here, and you're going to eventually just end up logging into the same email inbox that we saw before.
Perfect. So that would be a method where your individual users would log into their inboxes.
Exactly correct. That's the way in which you can access your inboxes without the need of accessing Brilliant Directories backend.
Perfect. All right, so we know how to create the email account. We know how to assign it as the general default email address for the site. We know how to view the inbox. Now here's something that comes up pretty often as well is forwarding this email.
Correct, because the reason why a lot of people are interested in creating email forwarders is so that you don't have to go in different inboxes and check all your correspondence in all those different inboxes. You can go ahead and set up an email forwarder and then receive on your main personal email any correspondence that's also being sent to those other email accounts that you created. Fortunately, the way to set that up is super easy, and I'm also going to be happy to show you guys how to set this one up. All right, let me jump back to Brilliant Directories here, backend. I'm going to start from the dashboard so that everyone's on the same page. What you want to do is navigate to the email section. You want to click email accounts. Now this time, instead of clicking on add email addresses, we're going to click on the one to the right that says add edit email forwarders. Just go ahead and click on that one. Basically, a forwarder, what it will do is receive the email and identify, all right, so this email, I need to forward it to this other email account. All right, let's go ahead and click here where it says add forwarder. All right, the address to forward. So this is the email address that's going to receive the first message. So in this case, it was hello, right? hello@doggroomersnyc.com, and then where you want those emails to end up. So let's say you want those to end up at rick@brilliantdirectories.com. Okay, so this means that if once I create this forwarder, emails coming into hello@doggroomersnyc.com are going to automatically end up at rick@brilliantdirectories.com. Let's click add forwarder here.
And what's really nice is the email will still go to the hello at inbox, and in addition to that, it will also be forwarded to the forward email that you've defined here as well. So if you have lots of different staff or managers, sometimes you may not just need to set up an individual email from them. You could just set up forwarders if it's just about getting notifications and things like that. If they don't actually need to reply to those emails and it's just about receiving notifications, forwarders are a great tool to use for that.
Correct. And very important, this is optional, right? You don't have to do this in order to get your emails to work. This is just in case this works for your own email setup. All right, so that's the third thing that we wanted to talk about, which was how to create those email folders, make sure that any email correspondence that you're receiving doesn't go unnoticed because you're going to be receiving it on your main personal account. Now, the fourth thing that we also wanted to talk about, it's also optional, but this is where it becomes really interesting, because what I showed you guys before were the different webmail clients, right? So we saw Horty, we saw Roundcube, we saw Squirrel Mail. But what if you want to use the Mail app on your iPhone? How to set it up so that I can also check my correspondence, not only by going to /webmail, but also using my own type of device, right, to check this out.
What's really cool about this is I have an inbox, and I actually manage 6 different email addresses just for different departments from the business. From that one inbox, I just choose who I want to send emails from when I'm composing an email. So if you do have a personal inbox like a Gmail or Outlook, this is a great method to also include your business email in there, and when you're composing emails, you can choose for those emails to be sent from the business email address if you wanted to do so. So Rick, let me pass the controls over to you, and you can kind of show us the quick and easy way to do this.
Okay, so this has to be set up on a per email account basis. All right, so we have to again do all the process that we've done so far of creating the account, making sure that those exist, right? And then what we're going to do is hit the same button that we've clicked a couple of times already tonight. We're going to click on that one because what we're after are these options that we see here where it says connect devices. All right, again, this needs to be done on a per email account, which means that if I do it for this one, it won't do it automatically for this other one. I need to do it each one. So let's go ahead and click here where it says connect devices. And what we have here are all the instructions that you need to follow in order to set this up depending on what device you want to use.
I think the key with this, with the connecting devices, is there's infinite number of devices or programs you can connect an email address to. Basically, they all have their own steps and instructions to connect an email address to them. But the information that you'll need to plug and fill in is on this page, essentially. So whatever their configuration steps are, 99% of the time, the information on this page, which looks like Chinese to me, but all you have to do is see what they're asking for you to include in the configuration, and then just copy and paste those values here. Really, the most important things are the username and the password. Obviously, the password's not listed here, so when you're creating your password, just make sure you save it in a secure place, so when you want to connect it to another device or program, you can just quickly put the username and password and then follow the rest of the instructions here as well.
I must say that the iPhone setup is super easy to do. So yeah, great feedback there. Keep in mind, this step is also optional. You don't have to configure this. You can always keep on using webmail. Thank you, Jason.
All right, good stuff there. Let's see, I'm sure we're going to have a question or two about this. Let's see who's got their hand up here. All right, we got a good friend here. Ryan, I'm going to unmute your mic.
Yeah, I got it.
Hey, how's it going today?
Good, everybody. Good evening. The email thing was a really good question. I haven't messed around with it yet because I'm still starting my site, but I am using the MX records sharing because I have my own email service, so I have the MX records shifted up there, and it's working fine. I'm getting my email through my domain, even with it hooked up, so everything's working fine. But I haven't sent emails from the actual website yet. So if I'm using the MX records and it's forcing all my email off from the BD site through the cPanel to my own email software, will it still send from that email address from the BD site perfectly fine?
Great question. So those are like, you can consider them like system or transactional emails. And the BD platform, even though the MX records are routing somewhere else, the system emails that are sent to your members when they sign up and when they receive leads, they'll still come from the email address you define in the general settings of your site.
Okay, and that's not something that I guess get blocked easier because the domains or however that transfers through the internet knows it's not really coming from the MX resident domain server, I get, because it's coming from a third party or something. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the system is smart enough to know, as long as it's the domain that your site is connected to, it can it'll send system emails from whatever email address you define in your general settings. So it's not going to create any conflicts that you're using a third party for your emails or anything like that.
Okay, yeah, great. I was just wondering for spam protector filtering if that caused an issue down the road, but
gotcha.
Thanks.
Okay, good question there. All right, yeah, I saw another R name up there, Ross. I'm going to unmute your mic here. Hey, Ross, how's it going today?
Yeah, great, thanks. Just a quick question. Can an admin change the email of a member, for example, if they gave the wrong email address when they signed up and want it corrected? And I know it impacts their user login, but can we do that, or do we have to recreate the member profile?
You can certainly do that. Let me show you an example real quick. So yeah, let's just test it out real quick now. This is a sample site we have here. So if we click on the quick edit, if you scroll down, here's the email address. Let's just change this to Jason.
Yep.
And then let's save the changes. Okay, now let's close it and reopen it. Yeah, it shows Jason here.
Okay.
And that's one way, Ross. The second way is you can log in as the member because you are the owner of the site, and you can certainly fill in this field here, email sent to, and change it to whatever you'd like.
Okay. All I really need to know, it can be done without too much effort, theoretically.
Yes. All right, good question there. Thank you so much, Ross. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us this Webinar Wednesday. It was great to be with you here today. Rick, thank you so much for such a great presentation. Lots of lab updates this week, the week before, and join us for next week's webinar, 7 days from now. We'll have some more awesome topics. And if you haven't already done so, please take a moment to join our Facebook group. You can head on over to brilliantdirectories.com/Facebook. If you still have some questions, we can continue the conversations there. And on behalf of myself, Rick, and David, thank you so much for joining us this Webinar Wednesday. Have a great day and a brilliant week. Take care, guys.